Next service we're going to cover is Dataflow. First, a brief introduction to Dataflow. Let's introduce Dataflow by discussing a challenge that has historically existed in organizations attempting to leverage data, especially big data. We already know that there are two main types of pipelines or data processing approaches. One is batch and the other is streaming. Until recently, organizations had to manage batch and streaming pipelines separately. This created challenges when trying to integrate recent real-time data with historical data. It was difficult to compare this data efficiently because each pipeline served a different purpose. One was optimized for speed and the other for accuracy or comprehensiveness. For example, monitoring credit card transactions for fraud involves comparing real-time activity with historical data. Using separate tools or pipelines for this complicates the process, as it requires syncing data from both sources. This can lead to delays and inconsistencies, and this setup also adds operational overhead and makes scaling more challenging because you're using separate tools. So this is where Dataflow comes in. Dataflow solves the problem of needing separate pipelines. We touched on this before, but Dataflow can handle both batch and streaming data. In fact, it's Google's managed version of the open source tool Apache Beam, and Beam's name literally comes from the words batch and stream. Dataflow is auto-scaling, it is serverless, it is no ops, and I hope you're starting to get the pattern here that many of GCP's most touted services are serverless, auto-scaling, built upon open source frameworks. Dataflow definitely falls into that category. Dataflow natively integrates with cloud storage, with PubSub, and with BigQuery. There are also connectors available for Bigtable and Kafka. And using the example of fraud detection again, Dataflow would enable a unified pipeline for fraud detection by handling both the real-time and the historical data seamlessly. As new transactions occur, they are processed in real time, allowing for the immediate detection of suspicious activities, and meanwhile, historical data can be processed in batch mode, providing a baseline for comparison. So this integration allows for continuous monitoring of current transactions against the historical patterns, making that detection of fraud more accurate and timely. It simplifies your architecture by eliminating the need for multiple systems for different types of pipelines. And this reduces the complexity, the overhead, and improves your scalability as well. That's our introduction to Dataflow. We'll get more into the details next.